It is Friday night. You sit down, open your favorite streaming app, and start scrolling. And you keep scrolling. 45 minutes later, your thumb is tired, you feel strangely anxious, and you still haven't picked anything. You eventually give up, put on an episode of a show you've already seen a dozen times, or just go to sleep. We are raised to believe that having endless options is the ultimate freedom. The underlying logic seems obvious. More choices mean more freedom, which equals a higher level of happiness. But psychologist Barry Schwartz found the exact opposite. Through extensive research, he discovered that beyond a certain point, throwing more options at a person actively paralyzes their ability to make a decision at all. He calls this the paradox of choice. Our modern cultural obsession with having infinite options is the exact source of our constant decision fatigue and dissatisfaction. To see how this plays out in the real world, let's look at a famous behavioral economics experiment from the year 2000. Researchers Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper set up a tasting booth inside a grocery store. When researchers displayed 24 varieties of jam, a huge crowd gathered, but only a tiny 3% made a purchase. Slashing the display to just 6 varieties changed everything. With fewer items, the purchase rate shot up to 30%. A giant wall of options doesn't invite us in. It actively overwhelms our cognitive capacity and completely shuts down our brain's ability to confidently make a decision. Picking the wrong fruit spread is a low-stakes problem, but this same paralysis happens when we are forced to make major, life-altering financial decisions, like saving for retirement. Today, most 401k retirement plans ask everyday employees to act as their own financial managers. You are handed a massive menu with dozens of complex, highly technical investment funds to choose from. Faced with that wall of jargon, many people become completely paralyzed. They put off enrolling entirely, or if they do enroll, they park money in safe, lowest-growth cash accounts, afraid of making a mistake. In highly uncertain situations where you aren't an expert, giving you dozens of choices is actively harmful. That overwhelming menu directly jeopardizes your long-term financial security. To understand why our brains freeze up, psychologists divide decision-makers into 2 distinct personality types. This split screen shows our 2 types. On the left is the maximizer. This is a person who feels completely compelled to exhaustively research every option, obsessed with making the absolute perfect choice. By setting an impossible standard, the maximizer experiences high stress while deciding and lingering regret afterward, constantly wondering if the options they didn't pick were better. On the right, we have the satisficer. A satisficer decides what criteria they care about up front. The exact moment they find an option that checks those boxes, they confidently pick it and move on. It sounds like they are settling, but the data tells a different story. Satisficers bypass decision paralysis entirely, and they end up demonstrably happier with their final choices. The good news is, once you recognize this paradox, you can actively design your environment to conquer it. For you as an individual, this means artificially limiting your own options. Set your minimum requirements before you start shopping, and force yourself to only look at 3 to 5 items instead of hundreds. For companies designing retirement plans, it means severely cutting down the menu. Employers need to offer a small, curated list of very clear options and use smart defaults, like automatically enrolling new hires into an age-appropriate fund so they don't have to guess. Ultimately, the most effective antidote to choice overload is intentionally learning to think like a satisficer. The next time you find yourself stuck endlessly scrolling or debating an everyday purchase, ask yourself, is your obsession with finding the perfect choice the exact thing preventing you from making a happy one?